So the recent batch of competitions now closed, and there will be more competition in the future, with the particularly entertaining one being the Exploding Power Supply one. It's interesting that Adrian Keenan wrote a little script that went through the results and actually found statistically which ones were picked most. And oddly, the one that I actually knew was going to blow up before I rigged this to actually detonate. Is there something I did subliminally in the video that actually indicated that green was going to be the one that blew up? Because green got the most votes. And the reason I chose green was because, well, I thought nobody would choose green. And it's also because I thought that one in the face of the eco-hippies, because boom, there's more landfill for you. Oh, that's bad. I shouldn't do things like that. It's just nasty. But the most chosen was the green. Second most chosen was the blue. And then pretty much neck and neck, yellow and orange. And then the two very significantly least were the red and then the magenta and pink. A lot of people were saying, oh, Clive hates pink, he's going to blow pink up because pink always blows up in the channel, and it does blow up in the channel quite a lot. But it got the least number of votes. They're very odd. However, there were 4 winners, and they were Creeper Ambush, iGlitch Life, Armadillo Man, and Bobo 102. There is another winner, but they'll be covered shortly. They're getting a completely different prize, but the main prize, it was just going to be 1 screwdriver. It's been extended somewhat. It's now 4 sets of these. It's going to be a screwdriver, a hand-built little LED tester I've made for you, and some LEDs to test with it. So that's just going to give you a little extra in there. I can't send the PP3 battery. I'd like to send you a PP3 battery too, the little 9-volt battery, but I can't because I'm not allowed to post it, and they seem to filter the postage for that. But anyway, there are 4 sets of these about to go out to the winners. There were also competitions running on Patreon. At this point I have to say, if you didn't get the Patreon notification that competitions were running, please go in if you're a supporter and change your message settings so you can get communications from, because the prizes on the Patreon were things that I've been building in the channel, including this Nixie lamp, including the Snowdrop lamp, an RGB controller, and the biggest prize was probably the USB toadstool light. And the winners of those in the Patreon channel were Ronnie Crutel won the toadstool light, Samo won the, or Sama I think it is actually, won the Snowdrops light, Skirmidel won the Nixie lamp, and C-Dod won an RGB controller fitted, it's yet to be fitted with it, with the software supplied to Disney for the Spectral Magic Parade. So all good prizes. However, there is another prize. I should also mention, I'm now accepting donations for those who don't like the idea of signing up to Patreon, which I don't blame you. It's, you know, it's wanting credit card details and stuff like that, and sometimes people just don't want to do that and they've already got a PayPal account. I can accept PayPal donations, and in the video descriptions you'll see that it now points to a website page on my website called Coffee, HTM. And it just gives the options, the Patreon site, and a sort of either a PayPal subscription or just a one-off donation if you don't like the idea of subscribing with $1 a month, sort of thing like that. However, the YouTube doesn't have the facility like Patreon does for communication for competitions. So the only way I can think around that is that because at the moment the PayPal subscriptions are a smaller quantity, and because PayPal supplies at least the email addresses, I'll include all the PayPal contributors in automatically into the future competitions. Now, this is the final prize, which is for one of the people who cheated in the competition. You see, I used a piece of software that analyzes, that actually picks the winners. It actually downloads all the comments from that video and then picks one at random, and it displays it, but it also displays how many comments that person left. And if you then check up and say, for instance, that a certain individual called KH, we'll abbreviate KH, entered the competition 6 times and chose red, orange, yellow, green, blue and violet. So kind of going to, you know, win the competition somehow. So his prize is actually the exploded remnants of the USB power supply, but not all of it. I'm not sending this bit because this can still be plugged into a socket, and it could, you know, if someone in the family picks up and plugs it in, that could end up nastily. So they're getting this smoldered circuit board here. And they're also getting, just to sweeten the prize, a pack of Swizzle's giant Parma violets, which are stinky sweet as well. It's worth mentioning that I have no qualms about blowing up these power supplies. These are just cheap, generic dollar power supplies from eBay. And I made it blow up by sticking a resistor across the mains inlet here and strategically putting it where, when it inevitably blew up, because it was being grossly overloaded, it would then cause an avalanche action and wipe out. It would cause basically meltdown in here. It's notable that the flimsy little wires actually blew like fuses. They actually contained explosion without blowing the 13 amp fuse, which was impressive. You can see the remnants of the resistor because it did glow briefly. You probably saw it in the video. It glowed in here just before it blew up. And it's fused itself on completely in amongst its little skid mark. These power supplies have very poor isolation, as you'd expect, and it goes one step further. They do have opto-isolator feedback, which is nice, but they have this capacitor. This is being used as the Class Y capacitor, which it's not a Class Y capacitor at all, is it? Because it doesn't say Class Y on it. It looks like a very ordinary ceramic capacitor. It's not rated to separate mains from you, and yet it is in this particular application. They've made a slightly modest attempt at separation in here. It's not great, but it's better than many. They are mustering up to about 2mm separation at some points, but just over 1mm at other points, which is not really ideal. And of course, we don't know at all just how good the transformer is, the separation, because quite often they'll just wind the primary and secondary right over the top of each other, maybe with a little bit of lick of tape in between if you're lucky, but sometimes not. So yes, so this is going in here with a bit of wire as well. And yeah, good competitions, good results, and I'll be running more competitions in the future. So congratulations to the winners, and don't worry if you didn't win, there's more competitions coming up.